Work and life harmony. It's not only about work-life balance. I think that's what everybody thinks when I mention that. It's part of it, but it's also about harmony within yourself, harmony in your career, and doing the things that you love. And then it's also about creating harmony in the workplace between coworkers and leaders being able to create harmony. And ultimately, it's about creating harmony that goes out into the world. Hello, Coach Kim Bettie with another episode of Work and Life Harmony podcast. And today I am just oozing with gratitude to share with each of you one of my very best friends, Cherie Collins. She's been a dear friend since second grade, and today we're going to have her talk about being up close and personal with your brand. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Cherie, and then she's going to be joining us in just a moment. Cherie Collins is the Director of Sales and Marketing of Public Speaking at the Shark Group, founded by Damon John, the founder of FUBU and the star of Shark Tank on ABC. Her career in marketing, communications, and sales has spanned over 20 years, and it is fueled by her enterprising spirit and strategic visioning. Cherie stepped out on faith, resigning from a position as Director of Marketing Communications and Sales Training at a major health insurer after 15 years, leaving behind the security of a six-figure salary to live a life of purpose. She moved to New York City in 2010 with only $1,000 in her purse, one client, and a dream. And that's why Cherie and I like to say, what you do, you often call personal branding. We want to start with what that even means. And when we combine the coach and life coaching with it, we often say very personal branding. And I love that you're talking about it from your perspective, of course, and also about how it prevents, you being unhealthy and burnout.
As you know, we all are working on things, so I appreciate it. The opportunity to be able to come on, but also I'm at a different place also. So some of that terms of, focusing on my stress and anxiety and physical wellness. Yeah. I'm on the other side. I'm creating new habits. I feel great, right? And so I feel like, we understand. I fully understand. I'm dealing with a whole lot of stuff too. So how do we navigate that? And some aha moments about myself that contribute to that lack of focus on ourselves. Yeah. And what comes out of it, even amongst all the challenges that we have around us in this world. It's really important because you're no good to anybody, until you get this together.
Well, first of all, tell us what personal branding is from your perspective. I read your bio, but tell us a little bit about what you're up to in your work and your hustle, and then what personal branding is. Let's start there.
Well, I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Shark Group, which is Damon John is our CEO, who is the co-star of Shark Tank. We call him the People's Shark. It has been a wonderful opportunity. I've been there for 10 years, started out as the oldest intern in the world. After moving to New York with $1,000 in my purse, one client and a dream. Like I always say, I like to tell people the story of why it's so important to know what your personal brand is and your vision for your life, right? And so part of that for me was when I was ready, when I met Damon, sometimes when you meet someone that could change your life, you have like 5 minutes. You might not have 5 minutes. It's called an elevator pitch for a reason. You might have just an elevator ride, right? Wow. So after, meeting him at the National Black MBA conference and all that in 2011, I think, he was done doing press and everything. And I had to walk him to the building, the doorway out the building. And, you got a man like that, you ask him a question, right? I had 5 minutes, 5 seconds, a walk.
Well,
right?
where were you? It was the MBA. What? Remind
The
us.
National Black MBA Conference
Okay.
in Atlanta, Georgia in 2011.
And you were a
And that's
volunteer
MBA,
there.
Masters of Business Administration. I
Mm.
was a volunteer, but because I had worked with celebrities before, the woman that was handling the registration and membership, the relationship and guest services stuff, thought that I would be a good person to handle the VIP speakers
Okay.
like Damon, Laz Alonso, Roland Martin, and others. But the one I found out of was always Biz Marquis. Like I was literally, God rest his soul. Biz Marquis was the only one. I was by his DJ stand, fanning out, dancing like I was a
That's
groupie.
funny.
All right. And when he called me at 2:00 in the morning, wanting to know where he could get some chicken, I was up, ready, and got him to where he had to go. Okay. But so anyway, I met Damon and I had to walk him to the door. And I said, everybody's asking you questions and I haven't. And he said, sure. I said, do you have time? He said, sure. I said, well, real quick, I'm a stylist with an MBA. I came to New York to be a writer. I've applied to Vogue, Elle, and even Oprah Winfrey's fashion department. And they just want somebody that went to FIT. They don't seem to get me. Isn't it all about branding anyway? Isn't that what they want? And he was like, anybody can call themselves a stylist. You're not a stylist. You are a brand architect. And for the first time, I realized I could marry those two things, my love of fashion and style, and my love of marketing and sales and PR and stuff like that, right?
Wow.
And what has evolved in over the years was unpacking the definition of what style is. Style, you instantly think about what we're wearing. We are fabulous in our animal prints today that we did not even collaborate on. We're just fabulous that way. But the fashion doesn't really come into the definition of the word style until like the third or the fourth entry. Before that, it's about a particular way of doing something, a particular way that something is made. That widens it up. And instantly I started thinking about Psalm 139. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, a marvelous work of God. And one of the translations will say, do you not know it? Right? Do we know our gifts, talents, and abilities that make us a unique human being in this world? And I set out on a mission to say, let's unpack that. Let me help people understand. For some reason, when I meet somebody, stuff like that illuminates about them to me. And so I've devised, and as a result of, working on that and talking about that, I was asked to present at Damon John's training program and be the personal branding expert, because people like him will say, sure, define yourself in 3 to 5 words. And all I remember was people in the audience is going, I don't even know what my 3 to 5 words are. Yeah. But the point is, what is the story? So a good example, and I use that example of Damon because if I had not known my story, I wouldn't have been able to tell him in 2 seconds, this is who I am and what do you think? What's the most fascinating thing about you? I thought it was, I was the youngest, first Black director of marketing communications and sales training at Blue Cross. What's the story other people tell about you? What they talk about me, I looked at it as a failure coming here with no money. Right. And working at Lane Bryant for $8 an hour and temping and being the oldest intern in the world. I did not look at that as fascinating in any way, stretch of the imagination. But it wasn't until I started listening and asking people, what's the story they told? They told that story.
And you did, keep that to your chest for a long time, but now she boldly has opportunities to share that, and it is super fascinating. Remember Iyanla Vanzant, and Oprah did a piece on her, and I always talk about that, and she was broke and poor and raggedy and I'm sure it's exaggerating, but it looked like she was walking through the alley, picking stuff. It was a really bad scene. Yeah, and Oprah's point was, watch me work. I'm getting ready to give her own show and help her be fascinating. But I felt like at that moment, I didn't need to see that about her. It made my stomach hurt. Still makes my stomach hurt to see it. It's almost, I guess it depends. Remember when the guy was homeless and he was on the side of the road and they helped him get his voice and become a radio announcer. That was inspiring, but sometimes watching people once again fall isn't as inspiring, and that is almost too personal. So where do you think the line is? Like, what do we show the raggedy house like people do sometimes now? Do you show, where is the thin line
I,
between I have $1,000 in my pocket, my house is a mess, me and my husband are breaking up, I'm having a meltdown, and doing it publicly?
today's world, think about it, there's so much hardship. There's so much pivoting that is required. There's so much loss. So back then, 10 years ago, it might have been a little challenging, right? It might not, you might not want to say all of that, but today it is that. People are looking for inspiration. Wow. And they need to see, one of the things that's so powerful about Daymond John is that his story is relatable because he talks about it and it helps people relate. And they say, ooh, if he could do it, I could do it too. It unpacks that, oh my God, this is what I need to do to be successful, right? Now, you said, what do you say and what you don't say? You say the stuff that helps build your brand, but the other stuff that don't talk about because it's nothing, it's, I feel like, for example, if I'm a brand stylist and I'm trying to give a good example. I had addiction issues, right? I was addicted to something. If I felt it supported my brand to help other people be able to do that, then I would share it. How do you make a great first impression today? How do you feel when you're getting ready to meet with a company or an organization, a person, and you look for them on this and you can't find anything, no social media, no website or whatever? Frustrated, they got something to hide, they're behind the times. So I submit. Our world today is information driven. So if you do not control the narrative of who you are, you can either miss an opportunity or allow other people to be able to define who you are based on what they find. One of the two wonderful places of transition are, one, when somebody is going from college to the workforce, right? So I have a session that I do called Personal Branding for the Grownish. The other lovely transition is people like you and me who, our age group, they may not have social media. They may not know not to have a camera up the nose like this. They may not know how to, engage with social media in a intentional way that will help their careers because they want to stay off of it. So they're only grownish with regard to this new thing that we have to promote ourselves and manage on as well. When you were speaking about, how transparent do you get to be? The nature of social media is that transparency. So you have to navigate it and do what is comfortable for you. I'm doing stuff like, I love to dance. You know this. I didn't understand how come I never danced. And people that I love, like June Ambrose, she dances all the time. And I'm like, why am I not doing that? So I started doing it. But each and every time I'm doing it, Kim, I am nervous. I'm like, I'm looking at it like, oh. Wow. But the other thing I did yesterday, I had on a red dress, but I kept my slippers on. Why? Because I am at home. The reality is intentional. I was being intentional and relatable to the extent that I am dressed. However, down here, I got my slippers. So you have to just find what is it that you're comfortable. I am not comfortable. Like June has a great figure, and I don't even care if I was super in shape. I would not be in my bra and panties putting on clothes. I would never do it. That's not what I'm comfortable with. But I was comfortable having my slippers on. I am comfortable showing you what I'm going to put on. I may be comfortable showing you, how I snatch in my waist so I don't look overweight, more, bigger than I am or whatever. Those kinds of things. And I don't have anything against anyone that does, but for me, right. I'm not comfortable.
Sometimes, this is my pet peeve. Sometimes we have to make sure that we are healed enough to go out into the world, because if we don't, then we feel like I'm so mad at what's going on, so I'm going to put this up because I'm mad, and it's not because we thought everything through. I want to talk about Cynthia Nixon because I don't think you knew this, and this is part of our Bettie because, you know, we always talk about Sex and the City and the Sex and the City reboot. And just like that.
I feel like I should put my glasses on.
Well, it may have been many reasons, but it was Sex and the City's lesbian star, Cynthia Nixon, only agreed to return for Woke Reboot, which covers Miranda's LGBT sexual awakening, if they made it more diverse after revealing her own daughter is transgender. She also praised that And Just Like That has a new cast of non-white and gender diverse characters.
You know, Cynthia is a producer of the show, right? And if she did not allow this or demand it, it would have been tone deaf to the time of today and a real hypocritical moment for her. When she left the show, she got divorced. She came out and married a woman.
Oh, so
in real life.
This new kind of erupting. Yeah. Okay.
This
So this
is
is her life. She's telling her story.
Life. Yes. And so it's like, you know, if she didn't say anything, she would look like a real hypocrite.
This is so interesting to me. I'll share this with you as well, because if you haven't been watching it, you might not know that Rance Nix is one of the characters. He's one of the sons in the Kings of Napa, the black family that owns the vineyard, and he's a little person. So to me, he really encapsulates everything that we're talking about on this personal branding, and your personal style and being very personal. I
can't wait. Okay.
And here's his bio, just the very last part of it. Rance knows that he definitely stands out. He also knows that he has something special to offer the world, and he's never afraid to hit the streets and make moves on his own. There is no other cool, confident African-American actor and entertainment personality like Rance Nix. Ultimately, he desires to use his uniqueness to positively impact every person that encounters him and his work for the glory of God. So tell us about you, the Curvy Stylist, and how we can reach you in your amazing new blog that you are rebranding or relaunching, I should say.
Reboot.
The reboot.
It's just like that. And just like that, I am rebooting the Curvy Stylist. And so that's why I'm excited. If it is now more than ever, is it important for you to have a personal brand online and make it work for you? But I will be able to help you figure out how do you personify your brand.
So thank you for taking time out of your writing to be with all of us today. More to come from my BFF, Cherie Collins, the Curvy Stylist. The Curvy Stylist at the Curvy Stylist is how they can find you on social media. thecurvystylist.com online.
Yep. Thank you. This was great.